Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's kick off today's story with a rare and magical night under the northern lights and one woman's hilarious, self-inflicted crash back down to reality. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with a turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Karen tries to police the northern lights. My wife and I were lucky enough to catch a glimpse of the northern lights the other night, which where we live is an extremely rare event. We hadn't really planned a viewing spot, so after dinner we decided to be spontaneous. As we were driving home, we spotted a small, quiet park that seemed like it would have a pretty decent view of the sky. Perfect. Now, this park technically has a curfew. It closes 30 minutes after sunset, but we had a good chunk of time left and we weren't planning on staying long. We parked, got out, and spent most of the time just standing there, quietly admiring the beautiful swirling colors overhead. Honestly, it was one of the most peaceful and awe-inspiring moments I've had in a long time. As our little window of time was running out and we started heading back to the car, we noticed headlights suddenly bouncing down the otherwise empty path toward us. A car, an older model SUV, came cruising up, practically speeding. At first, I thought it might be a park ranger doing a routine sweep. I didn't really think much of it. The car came to a stop near us just as we were climbing into our vehicle. The driver's window rolled down and a woman leaned out. Before I could even say anything, she barked, "What the hell are you guys doing here?" Her tone was already hostile, like we were a couple of teenagers vandalizing property or something. Trying to stay polite, I replied, "We were just looking for a clear spot to watch the northern lights. We're leaving now. Park closes soon." She made this dramatic scoffing sound and immediately snapped, "Well, that's a good reason for me to call the police on you because you're not supposed to be here." I just blinked at her. First off, we made sure it was still legal to enter the park. There were clear signs saying the park closes 30 minutes after sunset, and we were well within the time frame. Plus, we weren't causing any trouble, just standing there with our necks craned to the sky. Absolutely zero reason for her to threaten police involvement. At that point, it became pretty clear. This lady wasn't actually concerned about the rules, she just wanted to feel powerful. Cherry on top, I noticed a massive bumper sticker on her back window supporting a candidate running for our district seat in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. We live in a rural part of Pennsylvania where politics get intense. Our district swings purple. And that particular candidate she was advertising? Yeah, let's just say I already wasn't a fan. I decided to have a little fun. Playing dumb, I asked, "Oh, hey, who's that person you're supporting?" Her face immediately lit up. She went on a full rambling speech about how great the candidate was, how she was going to fix everything that was wrong with the area, blah, blah, blah. I listened, nodding like I was just soaking it all in. When she finally finished her little campaign speech, I smiled and said, "You know, I wasn't going to vote at all this year, but you just convinced me to go out of my way to register and vote against her and whatever party she's in." Her mouth dropped open like I'd just slapped her across the face. You could practically hear the gears grinding in her brain as she struggled to come up with a comeback. When she couldn't find anything intelligent to say, she defaulted to the classic rage-fueled meltdown. She started spewing insults at me, including some racial slurs, which, really prove what kind of person she was. At that point, I was so done. I calmly rolled up my window while saying, "Democracy's a B, isn't it? Maybe next time, mind your own business." We pulled out of the lot and started heading down the road. And that's when I heard it. A loud pop, followed by a weird dragging noise. I glanced in the rearview mirror and saw her SUV limping along awkwardly. She must have hit something sharp or maybe blew a tire from whipping into the park so aggressively. Funny thing was, we were the only two cars there and my tires were perfectly fine. I didn't even slow down to see what happened to her. Honestly, after the way she acted, it felt like some small form of cosmic justice catching up with her. In the end, my wife and I still got to enjoy the breathtaking view of the northern lights. We got a funny story to tell about the night. And best of all, I found a little motivation to make sure people like her don't get the kind of representatives they want in office. Small moments of petty satisfaction. Man, they're beautiful. And our next story. Thought I worked here? Cool. Still not a reason to invade my bubble. To pay my rent a few years ago, I used to go to a grocery store that did money orders at the customer service counter. One of the employees working there was a friend of mine, so whenever I came in, we'd chat and joke around while she processed the transaction. It wasn't a particularly busy store, and on this day, the customer service area was empty except for the two of us. No rush, no pressure, just a pleasant, easygoing moment between friends. Then I saw her glance over my shoulder with a puzzled look on her face mid-conversation. Before I could ask what was up, I felt it. Someone standing way too close behind me, slightly to my left, close enough that I could feel the fabric of his shirt brushing against my arm. Now, I have a pretty firm boundary when it comes to personal space, especially with strangers. I immediately took a step to the side to create some distance, turned to face him, and snapped, "Can I help you?" as aggressively as I could without escalating into full-blown confrontation. He looked startled and took a step back, finally standing behind the "Please wait here" sign like any normal person. His smug little grin vanished and was replaced by a sheepish expression as he mumbled, "Oh, I thought you worked here." Then he gave me a once-over, clearly noticing I wasn't in uniform, didn't have a name tag, and wasn't carrying anything that remotely indicated I was an employee. My clothes were casual, and I was obviously chatting with someone who was working. I stared him down for a beat and snapped, "Even if I did work here, that's no excuse to get in my space like that. You don't just walk up on people like a creep." He didn't have much to say to that. I turned my back and finished my transaction. If he tried to respond again, I didn't hear it. My friend and I picked our conversation right back up like nothing happened, though I did notice she looked a bit relieved that I didn't escalate things further. Now here's the twist. I'd worked at that same store a few years earlier. It's entirely possible this guy recognized me and assumed I'd returned to my old post, but even if I had worked there, that's no excuse to stand practically on top of someone. There's a reason "Please wait here" signs exist. Personal space is a thing, and violating it, especially unprovoked, gets you nothing but attitude and side-eye. Moral of the story? Don't be that guy. And our last story. From harassment to humiliation, how the HOA got buried in court. So let me give you some context on how I ended up dealing with these HOA bullies, because it's not just your run-of-the-mill HOA nonsense. Originally, this group started as a utility improvement district. Their one job was supposed to be maintaining utilities and roads for the neighborhood. Simple, right? Well, fast forward to today, and they failed miserably at that task. How bad? They started dumping sewage into our lake at levels way beyond what the EPA allows. Instead of fixing the utilities or maintaining the roads like they're supposed to, they've pivoted into running a golf course and harassing neighbors. Real 5-star management skills here, folks. But things really hit a new low when they set their sights on my terminally ill neighbor. She'd gotten permission to build a small deck on her property. She just wanted to enjoy her sunsets during the time she had left. Sounds reasonable, right? Nope. The HOA didn't care. They stormed over, screamed at her in front of her young child, and threw a fit about the deck being too big. I can't even imagine the kind of cruelty it takes to put a family through that while they're already dealing with enough heartbreak. She ended up moving because of the stress, and sadly, she wasn't the first neighbor forced out by these heartless clowns. And it just keeps getting better. One of the board members, someone who's supposed to be upholding the rules, tried to literally steal his neighbor's land, built on it without permission. Didn't even hide it. They laughed about it openly during public meetings like it was some hilarious prank instead of, a blatant violation of property rights. I put a stop to it by notifying the real property owner, but honestly, this is the kind of behavior we're dealing with. It's beyond embarrassing. After bullying everyone else, they turned their sights on me and my donkey. At first, it was just vague threats. They talked about lawsuits, about how my property was a nuisance. I wasn't exactly shaking in my boots. Then they took it up a notch. They showed up at both of my replat hearings, neither of which had anything to do with my donkey, mind you, and tried to cry to the board about how my donkey and my property were ruining the aesthetic value of their rental house across the street. It's hilarious because the rental they're crying about's a whole mess on its own. But sure, blame the donkey. They've now filed a discriminatory lawsuit against me trying to claim my donkey isn't allowed to live here. Here's the thing, they apparently forgot to check. She's an official assistance animal fully documented for my disabilities. I have all the approvals, even from the county, Long before I even did the replat, which, by the way, was just so I could put it in a shed, the land met every requirement for her. I made sure to remind them of this repeatedly, not that they care about facts when they're too busy throwing tantrums. The trial's set for July, and trust me, I'm more than ready. But these clowns couldn't even wait that long. They're so desperate to win that they tried to file for an emergency restraining order against my donkey. Yep, you read that right, a restraining order against a donkey. Their real reason? She brays. That's it. Their formal complaint says she brays periodically. When pressed for details, they had to admit she brays maybe once or twice a day, sometimes not at all. And when she does, it's a cute little bray that lasts about 3 to 8 seconds. That's it. She usually only brays when she's happy to see me or when the weather's nice. If it's rainy or windy, total silence. So basically, they want to ban a medically necessary assistance animal because she might say hello once a day for about as long as it takes to sneeze. Meanwhile, one of the board members keeps bees, and one of them stung me the other day. Did I run screaming into a courtroom demanding a restraining order against all bees within a 1-mile radius? No, because I'm not completely unhinged. Honestly, you have to laugh at how absurd it's gotten. These people are so drunk on their imaginary power that they thought they could bully a sick woman off her property, steal a neighbor's land, and now they're aiming to exile a disabled person's therapy donkey over a few cheerful brays. But this time, they picked the wrong target. I'm standing my ground. I'm not intimidated, and I'm certainly not moving. If they want a war over a donkey, then I hope they're ready to lose badly because I'm not going anywhere. And neither is my donkey. Court update. Well, the hearing finally happened, and let me just say, it was glorious. Their attorney showed up looking about as smug as you'd expect. They presented their evidence about the donkey braying, which amounted to 2 video clips where you could barely hear anything at all. One clip was literally my donkey making a little happy sound while I was bringing her breakfast, and the other clip had so much wind noise you couldn't even tell if the bray was real or just a creaky gate somewhere. My lawyer, who I absolutely adore, calmly laid out my medical documentation, the official designation of my donkey as an assistance animal, the county permits, and the total legal compliance of my property. Then she dropped the best line of the day. Your Honor, if making an occasional cheerful noise is grounds for a restraining order, then half the dogs and children in this neighborhood are in serious danger. The judge was clearly fed up with the HOA's nonsense. He denied their restraining order on the spot, telling them they had no grounds whatsoever to interfere with a federally protected assistance animal. He even lightly scolded their attorney for wasting the court's time on something so baseless and discriminatory. I couldn't stop smiling the whole time. Even better, the judge warned them that any continued harassment could open them up to a civil rights lawsuit under the Fair Housing Act. So not only is my donkey safe and sound, but now they know if they keep it up, they're going to regret it. It's been a long battle, but I'll say this, seeing the HOA walk out of that courtroom looking like they just sucked on a lemon made every second worth it. Part of me hopes that from now on, every time your donkey brays, those HOA board members flinch like they're hearing a court summons being stapled to their forehead. I hope that tiny "eeyaw" haunts their nightmares. They deserve it. P.S. If you ever decide to write a book about this saga, Donkey Justice. How I took down a corrupt HOA with one bray at a time. I'm buying the first copy, no question. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.